Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our interview series. I'm so excited to be with you today and to speak with our guest, Lina. My name is Erica Anderson. I'm with MS Insight. We are a patient advocacy group. If you aren't familiar with us, we're pretty new to the scene, so you may be seeing us for the first time, and we're so glad you're here. So make sure you leave a comment, let us know who you are, let us know if you want to be added to our email list, all of that fun stuff. But today we are talking with Lina. I would love to hear a little of your story, Lina. When were you diagnosed? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so thank you for having me. I was diagnosed this year, 2020, in
Wow.
March. So right in the start of when the pandemic was a thing, when we were aware that this is a thing and now we have to quarantine. So I was quarantined and I found out over the phone. But prior to that, I had been searching for answers for years. So I had these symptoms for so long and I kept going to so many doctors, different doctors sending me here, there, insurance problems. So it took just a really long time. So at a time where I could have felt very defeated in having this new diagnosis, it was kind of like a bittersweet thing for me because I was looking for answers for so long. So I was so grateful to have an answer for it. So that's kind of my diagnosis story in short.
Yeah, we've actually talked to several people that were diagnosed in 2020. So, I always say, of course, just like adding to the misery that was this year, of course.
Yeah.
But many of them and others have expressed that same thing that you're saying is like, it's just nice to know what's going on instead of feeling like you were in the dark with the various things that were happening. So what were some of the symptoms that you had that made you question that something was wrong?
Yeah, so I had these headaches or migraines. I don't really know which one. Maybe I had a bit of both, but just head pain for maybe 2 years straight, and it was kind of nonstop. It was all the time. So they kept well, of course, I kept getting told that it's just anxiety. Anything that I said, they kept telling me it's anxiety, which, sure, yes, I've accepted that I do have anxiety as
We all
well.
have anxiety, yes.
Yes, but there was more to that. I also have these vision problems. So I was diagnosed first with anxiety, then visual snow syndrome. And just quickly a little bit about that is that I see world through like a static filter, and in some cases where I'm more stressed, it's more noticeable, and with light sensitivity and all these vision problems. So they kind of just focus more on those things. But I knew that there was more. And yeah, and then when I was younger too, my leg just stopped working and I was in the hospital. And now I'm 25 now, and that was when I was 11. And I'm finding out that that could have been a MS relapse way back
Oh
then.
my God.
So yeah, I'm learning all these things now, that those symptoms and those experiences, those relapses, I guess that's what it's called, that I didn't know that we're experiencing over time. I've had multiple of them where just my legs would stop working, or pins and needles, or just overall feeling weak and just the fatigue all the time. I'm like, I'm so young, I can't hang. Like, what's going on? And then the brain fog was like one of the biggest things for me, and especially the last 2 years, because I was a student. Um, yeah, the brain fog was just crazy. I couldn't process material. Like, it just started getting worse and worse. I'm like, no, there has to be something wrong. Like, it's not just these things. It's not just anxiety. Like, I have to keep asking. And then, sure enough, they finally gave me the MRI of the brain and the thoracic and cervical spine, and that's how I was able to finally see that there are lesions going on, and that's what's causing this, and that's MS. And here I am in this MS world, and I'm grateful, and it's scary at the same time.
Yeah, that is so crazy to think that as long ago as the age of 11, that this could have been something that could have been diagnosed, potentially been diagnosed back then. And then,
Yeah.
you could have sought help for other things that followed. I'm sure a lot of people have that experience just because the symptoms are so all over the place. They can really happen. Like, everyone's symptoms are different and they can just
Yeah.
happen in so many different ways. And they can seem like so many other conditions. And so it's crazy how
Yeah.
it even confuses the doctors sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you did ultimately get this diagnosis, what went through your mind when you heard the words multiple sclerosis? Were you familiar with it at all?
Yeah, so firstly, in February, my neurologist called me and said that it looks like MS. And I was in the train station. I always share this story, like just being on a train station platform. I'm from New York City, and just with the people surrounding me before we knew about COVID, and just like standing there, like, huh, like just on the phone, like, what is that? And then I kind of just freaked out in the moment because I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know anyone who has that. It was a really strange thing to think that this could possibly be it. And then I finally got the diagnosis in March during quarantine. And yeah, it was kind of scary because I didn't know anyone. But I made the decision to share my story on my personal Instagram. And sure enough, people kept writing to me, yeah, my mom has this, my aunt has that, or this person, let me connect you. And that is definitely what helped me to connect with people, to see like people within my community, people that I know that know me, they know someone that has this, and it's not um, so rare. Like I was scared that it was just so rare that I wouldn't find anyone. And it's just scary. It's anything at all to get diagnosed or just an experience to feel alone and not know anyone to relate to, that's really tough. But once you find it, it's definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with so many people, sometimes the symptoms are not something that everybody can see. And so you don't even realize, like you're saying, like people that you didn't even realize had it were
Yes.
speaking out. And I, even, when I first started working with MS Insight, I even thought of a few people that I know as well that I like vaguely remembered hearing, that it spoken and not really understanding what it was and thinking like, oh, well, they seem okay. But now
Yeah.
realizing, oh, there's so much more to it than that behind the scenes that you can't see all the time. What have you run into with like friends and family, maybe not fully understanding, or what do you find yourself explaining the most?
Yeah. After you shared that, I did think of a time where my dad was like, oh, my coworker has MS. You would never know that she has it. And I'm like, okay, like that doesn't really help me. Also,
Yeah.
you don't know what they're actually going through in their life. They just look like they're okay, and I have looked like I was okay all these years from everyone else's perspective, and I wasn't. So that's just the thing that I have to keep telling people and reminding them that no, it's not. I think using my Instagram platform to really share that in a creative way to for people to understand, because not everyone is going to go research and go look up what MS is. Plus, it's different for every person. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, for my family, I tell them what I'm going through, and sometimes I'll share an article and say, "Here, like for my mom or the people really close to me," so you can kind of get an understanding of what I go through, and that sometimes I forget what I was talking about when we're talking. It's hard for me to concentrate. Like just to be mindful so that there isn't no like misunderstandings, because I know that can maybe cause some conflicts with people when they think you're not paying attention. Like I'm trying, I'm really trying. It's just hard.
Yeah. So what are some of the symptoms that you're dealing with now?
Yeah, the fatigue and the brain fog is my biggest, I'd say. Mm, yeah, and then sometimes my hands and my feet just fall asleep. Like, that happens to everyone, but it's every single day now. And that's just me trying to get used to that.
Mm.
That this is just my new normal. Like, I'll call my MS doctor and be like, what is this? And start freaking out. They're like, you're just going to have to get used to these little things. Like, this is just your life now. So that's
Mm.
what I'm going through right now. Just accepting that these things are not that serious, that it's my MS, and I am getting treatment to prevent new things from happening. And that because of the lesions I already have, I'm gonna have these feelings sometimes, and it's not anything too serious. But as long as I have like an explanation, like I feel good. Like I don't feel too worried about it. It's just that's scary for anyone. Anything happens to you, you're like, am I having a heart attack? Is it this?
Yeah.
You're like,
To your body, it's like you're not in control of your body, and that is kind of scary to think.
yeah, for sure.
So are you on medications now, or have you tried different medications?
Yeah, so at first I started Texvidera, which was a pill once or twice a day. I had terrible side effects. That was not for me. I would
Mm.
freak out, like this stuff. They call it Texadera flush. I'm sure people that are on it know what I'm talking about. It's just you get so red everywhere. I didn't like that. I felt like it was burning. I didn't like it. So I switched to Tysabri infusions, which is once a month. That's what I'm on now. And yeah, it seems to be working well, but I really preferred Ocrevus. So I'm in that process right now of finally advocating for it. Sorry about my
That's
dog.
okay. We love dogs. We love dogs.
Pandemic life.
Yes, yes, yes. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, finally switching to Ocrevus next year. So
Yeah. And in talking with your doctors and looking ahead, now it's not been that long. What do you envision for the future, or what kind of trajectory have they kind of set up for you as to how the next several years are going to go?
that's a good question.
Or am I just
know.
getting I'm like going way too far. You're like, I'm living day to day. Come on.
Yes, really, I am living day to day. So like, I don't know. I don't even know what the future holds for
Well,
me.
you know what? That's probably honestly, that's a better way to live. I mean, for
yeah,
anyone.
and with 2020, like, how can I can't even make plans because you just never know what life is going to bring
Right.
you.
Exactly.
I have my goals and I'm going to, put that out, make some vision boards for next year of what I would like to happen. It's just how it's going to happen. I don't know. And I'm going to be open to, different possibilities.
What are some, I was going to say, what are some things that, I mean, we all need, inspiration, we're all trying to like look somewhere for positivity right now. Are there places that you go for that on a regular basis?
I think just on social media, that's what really inspires me, seeing people sharing their stories or what they're doing or being creative. So I like to write music, write my own songs, sometimes poetry, spoken word, or things like that. Yeah, that's like my thing. That's what I really like to do. So when I see other people doing it, I'm like so inspired. So I try to follow people that cause that for me. Like when you see someone and you see their talent, you're just like, wow, that inspires me to write. Like, or I see someone sharing their story and like spreading awareness, and that encourages me to do it, and vice versa. Like that's what really is helping me get through everything and bringing some positive light into all this happening.
We're going to have to share some of those. If you're sharing those on Instagram, we're going to be sharing them. I've got to. I think I remember seeing that the other day, and I was like, I need to go back and listen to that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a new way too. Like I made one song about MS lesions. So I'm trying to like also educate through music as well, find different ways to spread awareness because, not everyone is going to, like I said, they're not going to, some people just don't find the time to read. So it's like, okay, I'm going to try to catch your attention in a different way so you can learn because it's important.
That's so cool. I love using creativity and art to deal with anything, especially this. And, it's like you said, not everybody's going to read. Like not everybody wants to read, but music and words, like in poetry, really can speak to people in a quicker way and in a way that they sort of get that sort of speaks to their soul because everybody's different. So I think that is so cool.
Yes.
So I know you were only diagnosed in March, but anyone that's, been diagnosed before someone else is sort of a veteran. So we have a lot of people here that are part of our MS Insight community that are very new. Like they found us by like typing in the search bar about MS and they're like, what is happening? So I guess what would be some words of advice you might give someone that's just stepping into this journey?
Definitely join the MS community online. Find your people, even if you're not. I suggest to like share your story because it spreads awareness. More people sharing their story, they can find each other. But if you're not comfortable with that, then definitely follow people who are doing that so that you can feel less alone in your experience. And it also helps to educate yourself on what MS is like for different people and what may happen for you, or to see like different DMTs that may work or may not, and how they've worked for other people. Like joining the community and just following those people will definitely help. Sometimes the first thing I did was go on YouTube and search to see people sharing their stories, to get that kind of personal experience of seeing someone speak about it. Yeah, that's definitely my advice. That's what's been helping me throughout this, quarantine or social distancing. Like, it's hard to find, to feel like you're a part of something, and I feel really a big part of this, and it helps me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. It's like, it's cliche to say that, like, we're so glad we have the internet now. Like, we all know that. But the truth is that even 10 years ago, things are not as they are now in terms of finding your people. And even
Yeah.
the concept of vulnerability itself is sort of newer. Like, people, used to keep things like this a secret. Like, they were maybe
Yeah.
embarrassed or something of having a condition of some kind. And these days, I think people are so much more empowered to find their strength from other people, and
Mm-hmm.
to realize that sharing their story actually provides them strength as well. And so I'm such a big proponent of that, because, like, I'm telling you, no matter what is going on in my life, whatever problem I'm dealing with, the first thing I do is try to go find that community of people that understands. Because then
Yeah.
you don't feel alone. And it's like, it really is like a life support sort of like underneath you. And you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
like sit in the dark with your questions. You can just go to the
Yeah.
community and realize you're not alone. So I love that advice. Thank you so much, Lina, for sharing your story. We really appreciate it. We're going to share all your stuff. I love what you're doing. And I know it's going to be very helpful for a new diagnosis that's watching this. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.